Good morning, YouTubers. This is Robert Firestone from the flyover state of West Virginia. 8:58 or 8:50 a.m. 11/20/2020. A lot of twos there, isn't it? Three twos. Well, no, really, four twos. The 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. Four twos. That's another subject. But anyway, something just hit me. I was listening to one of the fraudulent, pirated X22 reports, Dave's blog. I'm not sure if it's really Dave or not. I know it's his voice. At least I feel like it is, and I feel like that it is coming from his platform. But somebody's pirated it and brought it back to YouTube. There's 2 or 3 other channels that falls under the same category. One foolish idiot slows Dave's voice down. Ain't figured that one out yet either. Something hit me. All right, for all the awake out there that knows about the Great Reset, and we know what this is about. It's basically the same thing that our Bible speaks of. These things has got to be put in play and be working before the Antichrist comes back. Okay? I wonder if there may be certain parts of this so-called Great Reset, okay, that Trump needed them to drop their guard on, okay, so he can usher in what's coming from his plans and his opportunity for us, okay. Right now, as it stands, I would trust Trump more so than any of these people that's claiming they know what's better for us. I don't need a mama. I don't need a daddy. Um, I'm due my own mistakes. I'm due for me to fix my own mistakes. I don't need somebody governing my money, turning it on and off whenever they feel like it. I don't need somebody to tell me that I don't need to be in debt. I don't need to own something, which we already know if the Garcia kicks in, there won't be no debt anyway for the ones that know. And like I said, it's almost like these things are allowing to go forward. It's even like this fraudulent vote shit. Okay. I guess for Trump and his cabinet members and the so-called rule of law, there's got to be an ends to a means by using the rule of law, so it puts it back in a balanced, fair state of rule of law, which we already know that the Bible speaks of man's law being unjust. Well, here it is, y'all. For them, it still blows me away that we got people out here that are marching up and down the streets, causing chaos, doing everything they can possibly do to go against something that's good and virtuous, not just for me and not just for you, but all. Okay? Then they take up a banner known as communism and socialism and allow somebody to lie to them about the history of it and how it actually works. This is blowing me away, man. And it ain't that I don't understand how this is going to play out for me. I understand. Um, no matter what, God wins. Okay, good wins. Okay, up until that part, all the screw ups and all this other stuff is beyond my reach or control. Okay, it's like my little serenity prayer that I try to look at daily, at least 3, 4 times a day, to understand things. Uh, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, these people, Antifa, BLM, and the rest of the left-leaning idiots, they have no clue on what's going on, because history shows between Stalin, Hitler, Mao, they done the same game, okay? And as soon as these dictators got what they wanted, the people that got rid of the first, right off the bat, was the useful idiots that they used in the streets to spread their propaganda, their hate, and their violence. So, you all that's doing this, go study it for yourself. Do not allow these people to tell you something, because if they're sticking to the plans of Mao, Hitler, and Stalin, you've got to have an understanding. There will be these long trenches dug out. Y'all will be executed and thrown in a fucking hole after they strip your money, your jewelry, your watches, and everything else off of you. Gold teeth. Y'all don't know what y'all done stuck y'all's foot into. Think you know. Okay, I still keep hearing this bullshit about clones. Okay, for if, again, and I gotta reason through things just like everybody else does. Okay, for the person that, I guess, until it's proven, the fat lady ain't sung. Okay, I do not believe that Hillary Clinton's already been snatched up and executed. I do not believe the clone about Biden. I don't believe it, because it makes no sense to carry out such bullshit. Okay, okay, you could leave the same dumbass idiots in the same spot. Why do you need an exact copy? This is what fathomly up here don't make no damn sense, because according to what's going on, the clone is just as sadistic and stupid and evil as the real person was. They're not manipulating these things. If that's the case, why would they be going forth with their bullshit? Is there a super button that you can push that shuts them all down? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm having a hard time with this part of it, okay? Don't make no sense to me. It don't fathomly fit into a plan for me. It just don't register, okay? I know there's going to be bits and pieces of it through all the way to the end that's not going to set right with me or don't look right. But back to the useful idiots that's running up and down the street. You all are our brothers and sisters. You all are due mistakes. You all are due uh, and able to redeem yourselves. Okay, y'all got to have an understanding. If you want to play in this game that they keep handing you, spoon feeding you, giving you dollars, money, y'all got to have an understanding there's an end part to this game. Okay? Go forth and read it yourself on what these dictators done to the brown shirts and all the other little idiots, okay, that was involved in their schemes. They had to get rid of them first thing as soon as they marched in, because they didn't want opposition. They wanted controlled situations. Once they got the people to cower down on their knees and not willing to fight, took their guns. But what kills me is that the human spirit is, okay, here's some history bullshit, okay. Cavemen had enough fucking common sense to build a projectile, okay, to take down woolly mammoths and other meat for their tribe. They understood what killing was and is, but for some reason now, in the future, somehow or another, it's done left the human mind that that's part of us. That's a necessary part of us for survival. Really? I didn't think they made that much soy milk or testosterone blockers. Something ain't adding up even there. I understand Big Pharma and the bullshit. I understand Big Pharma and giving you an extension on life with a pill. I understand that. But the rest of it, how did that leave the human mind? To know that that is a necessary part of life is there might come a time which two fly back and forth there, either flight or fight, okay? But there's an old analogy about a dog, and I use these old sayings because they're necessary for us to remember. There's parts of us that was put in these old sayings. Okay, you take an old dog, you beat this old dog, okay? There comes a time in that old dog's life when you back him up in a corner and it feels like it's got no other way out. It comes out of that fucking corner. And when it does, God help you. Because that dog's going to start at your feet, ankles, neck, wherever it can get to, and start ripping your ass apart. From a chihuahua to the biggest fucking mastiff. Now that's a dog. Cats, same way. That is also inherent in us. Okay? The rich and the elite feeling like they have some kind of right or heir, okay, to what has been built on this earth has been us. Okay? They have been a small part of it, just like every one of us is a small part of it. Co-creators in all of this. But for some reason, they feel above and privileged above you and me and everybody else. And their numbers is very small. Who taught this to these people? Who indoctrinated their mind to think this way? And for what purpose? Oh, I can tell you. The ruler of this world, Satan. Okay, Satan right now is having a fit because the light's shining through every time they bust ass on somebody, the dark side. There's 4 or 5 light bearers with this great big fiery sword whipping down the fucking shadows, showing everybody the bullshit behind it. Okay? Being that Satan is yet just a spirit, okay, of his former self. He can take all forms. Weaknesses of man, money, greed, power, women for men, and the opposite for women, men, men and women, okay? These are tools of his, okay? Because him being the ruler of this domain, okay? But here's the logical part to this story, too, is we have choices that he cannot take. He can manipulate, twist, turn, but we have the choices to say, Satan, okay? And now he's done picked a bunch of elite pedophilia filled people, demonic, keep feeding him what he wants, okay? At the same time, he's had to realize for thousands of years that man, being that he has choices, is also fallible. Another word for this is broken in situations to where he can't set forth in his plans 100% to manipulate the human being in a manner to where he could make sure 100% of 100% of the time he wins. Okay? So he had to pick the ruling class. Okay? Not the poor class. Because we're supposed to be bowing down to these people and be on our knees. But the ones that know and have an understanding knows better. We are not to have these things. We are not to be ruled over. We only have one judge, and that's God. Then he sent his only begotten Son for us to have a way to him. It's like his religious cults out here that calls themselves churches. They put God on a pedestal, then tell you, you and me have to act a certain way, look a certain way, okay? Wear certain clothes, mannerisms a certain way. But has anybody ever thought this is the same thing that Satan uses in a reverse role for control? Now, for if, and I'm using the word if because the logical mind and man, okay, not being a doubting Thomas and having an understanding that we are dealing with humans, good and bad. They are all acceptable to make mistakes moving forward to something good. Okay? Not doubting what Trump's doing and the so called alliance. I can't even prove none of this shit. I mean, I hear it in the background. I've seen other things on the med beds. There's 3 of them, 3 different types of med beds. And each one of them has a function for the human body. Okay. For if this takes place and we do move into the light, okay, it'll probably, most of it will be done by January of this year. Okay? There is no doubt in my mind, for if the courts are not compromised to the point of where they're going to shit on the Constitution as well. We do have this Constitution, and I've been saying it before, and I said it 100,000 fucking times, and I realized it when I was having to try to fight for my house. I just wasn't smart enough to know how to word the verbiage in the legalese, the dog Latin. Okay, I come close. I even backed a full-fledged attorney off of me and even sent me an apology letter because he was not aware of the things that Chase Manhattan had done. But he went ahead and 3 or 4 months later picked it back up and ran with it again in a different direction. I guess because he's seen some fallacy in my language, law language. Okay? these things that's yet to come, we have a choice in this. We're co-creators in this. The positive attitude, yes. Us praying daily, multiple times a day, for the victory for Trump and the hedge of protection over him and the people that's moving us forward. Him being in the background, taking down some of the enemy. Okay, this chess game that we're involved in, and we're part of the damn chessboard with the pieces. We are the pieces, other than the ones that's close to him that he sends out to get things done. That's just like I was saying about the court system. If it is not compromised, and I'm not saying this to drag any good spirit out of anybody, and I'm not being a doubting Thomas, but there's this thing that comes with right and wrong. Okay, it's called wisdom. Wisdom to know the difference, to change the things I can, to accept the things I cannot change. I understand these things. I understand these. They're not theories. These are exacts. But when you put humans, man and woman, involved in these factual uh, things, it can still be hidden this way than because of one mistake. Not saying that what Trump is doing is any mistakes, because he hired the best pit bulls that you could ever want in your corner. And that lady, I can't think of her dag name, man. It sucks. The tall lady, okay? That's how she's right damn tall. Sydney, okay? She went through what we went through when we was waking up. And what the funny part is, she was actual in part of our government for a while. Okay? I'm not sure what branch of it and what she was really doing. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, listening to her, I'm like, now, she never seen the whole time she was in our government doing whatever she was doing. It was somewhere in the law departments. I would assume she never seen no fraud, no kind. It was covered up that good that she didn't see it. But she went through the awakening too. At first, she's like, "Well, there'll probably be enough here to make a case." Then all of a sudden, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, we the people, patriots, whatever you want to call them. I'm just saying we the people started standing up saying, having an understanding, hey, if I don't say something and try to help fix this, their outcome for us is not favorable at all for our life. Okay. That's when it started kicking into her and made her mad because she couldn't believe she was living in a fantasy. That's what dawned on her. Known as the justice system, the law system, the world, the bankers, she started seeing the connections. Her logical mind that pieced things together, the neurons started hitting points in her head that she had never even considered to look at, and she started seeing them. Giuliani plays in this same realm too. That last lady that spoke last night in that thing, um, I loved her to death. That was the best, well-spoken individual attorney, woman attorney, that I've ever heard in my life. It was like nothing. If she would make a mistake, it was corrected in seconds, and she was back on the path. Okay? What these news reporters is not realizing, and also the FBI, they got called out in this news thing with Trump. They've been warned. There was a part in it where these laws that one lady attorney, I think it was her, Giuliani did it in a little bit, and so did Sidney. But there's laws in our Constitution, and one of them is the 14th Amendment that states to them, if they're going to play the game they're playing, they're part of the sedition. They're going to see the inside of a jail cell too. The little dirty, nasty, rat-infested, roach-infested little cells. They didn't spend all this money over in Gitmo to make it a club fed. They didn't spend all this money at these other military prisons to make it a resort. Okay, this is where putting the pieces together. Also, you got at least 100 or better from Dominion and these other software companies that's moving forward to talk to Sidney to show and tell them how this shit works. Well, man created it, helped co-create something in the dark side to work against the light. And it's been going on for years. This just didn't happen overnight. Sorry, y'all. That's bullshit if you believe that. Okay? I about died when Giuliani asked the little reporter, she was asking questions, and he just stopped her. So, who you with? And she said CNN. And Giuliani had a belly laugh right in her face, and all the other attorneys did too. Okay? It'd probably call her a little liberal dumbass completely off. I'd love to see her face. Because it put them in check. It put them in a situation where now they're running around trying to claim this, trying to claim that. Their scenarios is changing. They're trying to say it's bullshit. Keep it up. Me personally would love to see all of the rags, newspapers, all these MSMs be taken down to nothing. Period. Love to see all of y'all go fucking bankrupt. Don't give a fuck about y'all people because you didn't take the time to do your job correctly. You, as the MSM, was supposed to be part of the guard at the gate for this to never happen. No, money, greed, and power promised a great big shiny pot of gold. You're gonna find out when you get to it. There's a great big turd laying in the bottom of it, and it's got DNC or DM or Democratic Party, okay, wrote on that turd. That's your reward. It's coming. As a matter of fact, you might even be sharing a bunk or a couple prison cells with these fucking people. Okay? Because here's the deal when it finally dawned on me. And everybody put this deep into their psyche. We got to have an understanding, unless this is a big ass game that Donald Trump's been playing against us and with them, okay, to keep our minds off of what's going on and gave us a movie, a soap opera, to kind of keep us interactive with the bullshit till they got all their plans done, which we'll see if the Great Reset goes through. Okay? And see what Donald Trump does, okay, in and around these times that's moving forward. They're having a hard time getting it done right now because Donald Trump stands in that gap. They know that the United States people and Trump Right now, as it stands, we're not for their bullshit. So this weeds them completely out of our country, doesn't it? Now, we have Russia that's already thrown these cocksuckers to the curb. Okay? India, my understanding, they don't have no central banks or anything like this. All the people that Trump's done went to already knows how to break them, how to take their money, how to take them out of seats of power. But it's going to have to be a worldwide thing to take it down. The thing of it is, now I'm not going to say that these idiots ain't going to try to crawl back in some way, somehow. But if there's certain things set up, rules and regulations that's set in stone, like our first three things on our Constitution. I think it's Constitution. Please, my brain early short timers. I'm probably, if I am wrong, I'm wrong. Sorry. But the first three things in our Constitution needs to be amended in such a way before no dog Latin, legalese, or anything can ever fucking touch it again, or even have one of them even mention it. Our forefathers are smart enough to give it to us, and the last remedy is the Second Amendment for us. Trump's last line of defense is going to be the military and martial law. And people's going to be flipping out, scared to death, because the media has done told them as soon as this takes place, Trump's a dictator. See, we told you. We got to be wiser than our enemies. And I know a lot of people's woke up and sees it. Okay. Today is going to be a big foretelling thing about how many people wake up again. Because the MSM is out there flapping their lip about Rudy Giuliani, Trump's lawyers. They're saying the so-called fraud, and it's every fucking word. We have this little piece of us as men and women that still works like a child. And it's good that it never leaves us. Some it has. Most of us know. As soon as we hear one side of the story, but it dawns on us, well, let me go see what these people really said. Boy, you talking about lights going off today and tomorrow. Ooh. Y'all just helping wake up the masses like you would not believe. But anyway, I'll get off here, y'all. I didn't really want to go this far with it. I just think it's important to be looking at both sides of this coin, knowing we're standing in the center of it. Like I said, I believe about at least 80-90% of this stuff's going to come to an head and be pretty close to being over with. Unless the dark side decides they're going to start a civil war. And they ain't going to like it too much. Because remember, there's anywhere from 14 to 19 million people here in the United States that's locked and loaded. And a whole lot of patriots are itching for a war. Don't want it, but not willing to not pull a bullet in a Democratic head or a stupid liberal. Yeah, some of these people come back from some of these wars, even some of the Vietnam vets that my dad was a Vietnam vet, and I talked to a lot of these guys, and some of these guys were specialists. Some of the dog trainers, some of the tunnel rats, and my dad was connected to the tunnel rats through a tank. He drove a tank, but they used him to flatten out these tunnels. They would pop both ends with bombs or grenades, whatever they needed to do. They would have a path marked for him with a string. He'd drop that track down in that damn tunnel and roll that summits all the way to the other end, flatten it out. They couldn't run through the tunnels. I'm sure there's a few people got squashed in them tunnels. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get off here. 9:25 a.m. 11/20/2020. But we got a favorable outcome this time in our lives, and keep praying for the edge of protection over Trump and his people and his attorneys, because especially Sydney, because she got to the point to where everything that she was taught, she found out it was misused and manipulated, even in her world. That really fucked her head up. But that light bulb got clicked on like you would not believe, and it created a friggin' terror to the wrong people. Just remember that. And like I said, people were saying this last EO that Trump signed has that 120 days in it. It had to get announced, but it didn't have to be announced by Trump. And it didn't go into legalese on how it had to be announced, but it got announced. The last EO, I think, is November 2nd, that he signed, and it's got that 120-day provision in it. So you all prepare yourself, get you some dry goods, rustle you up some water, and don't forget toilet paper. That just blows me away, man. But we are living in a society where we got porcelain things we sit on now. It ain't like the Roman days with the stick and the sponge. But peace to all y'all. Like I said, I could keep babbling for way too long, but I'm trying to uplift and bring y'all good news along with ifs and maybes. And that's all it is, ifs and maybes. It ain't the good news. The good news, I believe, is going to win, and we're going to have victory. Trump's going to have victory. If he has victory, we have victory.